everybody, and welcome to a new podcast here on BVZ Radio. It's going to be called T Squared. Why T Squared? Well, one, because my name is Tom Deau, and my co-host is...
Tom Atkins.
Tom Atkins. We have two T's here, two Toms, T Squared, right here on BVZ Radio. So, we're going to start things off here by telling you a little bit about ourselves. So, Tom, why don't you start off here, and why don't you tell us where you're from?
Well, I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and I grew up most of my young life in New York City and New Jersey, right by the Hudson River. Then I went to Iowa for college, and then I moved to here in Erie many moons ago, Tom.
Many moons ago. I'm not going to ask. That's totally up to you to divulge
I feel
where
we're
you're
kind
from.
of in the same genre, but I'm just guessing.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I was born in Cleveland. I moved to Richfield, spent most of my life there in Richfield before moving out here to Pennsylvania. Got out here in PA back in, I think it was the summer of '85.
Wow.
Spent my last 2 years at Harbor Creek High School, and then moved on here to Behrend. So that's basically my beginning for the most part. So let's talk some more about us. Let's for this podcast, basically each time we are on our podcast, we're going to talk about different things, probably mostly weather related and stuff like that. But for the first one, we're going to talk about who we are. We're going to let you know who we are. So we're going to go back a little bit here. And Tom, why don't you start off by what are some of your earliest childhood memories?
Oh, just growing up mainly in the New York metropolitan area, the big city, the Big Apple, New York City. I mean, going in there for everything from field trips to the old Yankee Stadium to watch baseball and the old timers back in the day. But there was so much around there that, I was really blessed growing up, Tom, because there was lots of neat things to see. Very diverse area, from some mountains in the Appalachian to the Jersey Shore, as they call it, the ocean. Went and saw a lot of places and just loved life growing up in that particular part of the United States. A lot of history, a lot of beauty, of course, the biggest city in the world, and things like that.
Could you describe your family, and as far as growing up, like how long were you there and then you moved away? Tell us a little bit about a couple of your maybe childhood memories.
Well, my parents were both teachers. My mom, I guess you'd call it kind of semi-retired to be a homemaker with my brother and I. But my dad was a professor at Columbia University in Manhattan, New York. So he was working on a master's degree around the time I was born, and then he got a doctorate when I was about 6 years old. So he taught educational administration. He was an elementary ed teacher who ended up teaching people that wanted to be principals and superintendents at schools. He did a lot of consulting work, a lot of travel, went to schools all over the country. I remember that's how I learned the United States. My mom would have placemats at the dinner table of the United States, and when my father was on a trip, we would learn what state he was in. And that's how I kind of learned U.S. geography.
Firsthand.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, that's kind of cool. I like that. Who was, let's say, your biggest influence as a child? Who was the biggest influence in your life?
Well, I think other than my parents, watching a meteorologist on TV growing up.
How old were you when you did that?
Well, actually, I when I was 6 years old, for my 6th birthday, I was in first grade. My parents noticed that I'd liked to watch the news with my dad, and I was fascinated with the weather. So for my 6th birthday, they bought me an actual weather station, with weather instruments that worked, like a rain gauge, thermometer, barometer, things like that.
You were 6 years old, and that's when you started your being interested in the weather.
Right. At a very young age, just watching TV, watching the weather guy, being fascinated. Well, I loved snow, and I figured out at a very young age, if it snowed hard enough, you could get a day off from school. And that is a true story. I love to play in the snow. And we didn't get big snow a lot of times where I grew up in New York and New Jersey, but we got some. and that's kind of what sparked my interest.
Now, speaking of snow, I'm going to jump ahead a bit. I said we might be getting some this week. Should we talk about that at all, or should we kind of just bypass that?
Well, I mean, it's always that first snow of the season, and I don't mean something huge like happened on Black Friday and the Thanksgiving holiday last year. I'm just talking about getting our feet wet, so to speak, with a little bit of lake effect Sunday night, Monday, maybe into Veterans Day, Tuesday. But nothing horrific, nothing we haven't been through before, just more of a nuisance than anything else.
Yeah, a lot of times people get pretty excited about the first snow. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes, I swear, sometimes people forget how to drive. But
yeah, that's the first thing. You learn how to drive and dress and walk and whatever else.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, all right, getting back into our early life and family questions here. Did you have any traditions or routines that shaped your childhood? And if you did, what were they?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I mean, there's so many things that, like I say, I got to do growing up. Holidays were great. Boy, I'll tell you, just taking advantage of the area that we lived in. I mean, whether it was the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City on Thanksgiving morning, or going on vacations to the shore, or maybe up into New England mountains, things like that, family vacations, things like that.
Forgive me, do you have brothers and sisters?
I had one brother that was older than me.
Okay, and then you guys, like growing up, did you guys have the regular brotherly type?
Like an adversarial relationship?
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
How'd that go?
Not at all. My brother was 8 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
So he was more of a cool guy that I looked up to.
Nice.
And there was really no conflict and fighting or anything like that, because he was older and very smart, and I just absorbed a lot of stuff.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what kind of activities or hobbies besides meteorology did you have when you were younger?
Loved sports. Grew up, obviously with the New York teams, which there's like at least two for every sport. The Jets won the Super Bowl in 1969, Broadway Joe Namath. The New York Knicks won their first championship, 1970. Loved the Yankees, even though they weren't that good at the time. Went to games at the old Yankee Stadium. Always loved tradition and history. We used to go to the old timers games, where you would actually see Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio play in an old timers game, and they would announce the widows of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig sitting in the stands, even though obviously their husbands by that time had passed away. So it's a lot of baseball tradition.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were you, and when was that? That sounds like one heck of an experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was the late '60s, early '70s at that time, and the Yankees weren't that good at that time. They got better in the late '70s when I was in high school, and you had players like Reggie Jackson, and winning World Series in 1977 and '78. But a lot of baseball input and a lot of that historical stuff, the house that Ruth built, And I remember the first time I went there, my dad took me to work. We got a cab. We went to Yankee Stadium. When I first saw the field and the green grass and the 463-foot center field fence, it was just, I'm almost getting goosebumps thinking about it now.
That's great.
Obviously big into tradition and history and, in that realm of sports.
Fantastic. What about values, different values that you had that your parents have? Is there anything like when you were a kid, like what my mom used to do is let's say we're going into a store. Mm-hmm. My mom would wait in front of the door, and then I'd go over there and grab it and open the door for her and stuff, and she'd go in. There's different values. Anything like that, again, that's one thing that I remember back in Richfield, her doing that. You got anything like that yourself?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My parents were, I would say, strict but fair, funny, but expected you to have manners. They were teachers, So we went to church. We opened doors, just like you're talking about. And just regular kinds of mannerly things, I guess you'd say. Studied hard, school. I mean, being teachers, yeah. I mean, they'd quiz you. They'd say, "Oh, you're having a test. Give me your textbook. I'll ask you questions." That kind of thing. So they spurred us to be the best we could be.
Was that ever tough? I mean,
yeah.
But having your parents there, I mean, I'm assuming this, but you must have been one heck of a student.
Well, I tried to be, but, I was not someone that was, what you want to call it, like a genius or, someone that didn't have to work at it. But I do remember how important education was. This is what we call technical difficulties in the broadcasting industry. Do you want me to just hold this?
Yeah,
let me just hold this.
Attach it back to it.
Okay. I mean,
We got a little microphone issue here.
and which is, normal. This is what we do in radio and TV, which Tom and I have been in for years. Yeah, so you just roll with it. Just kind of like life.
There we go.
It's cool, and it works.
All right.
And we're back in business. But yeah, I mean, we were expected to study, do well. We were expected to have manners, speak well, and, just the basics of common courtesy and doing the best you can. Like you're doing right now.
Thanks. You guys couldn't see I was adjusting a microphone over here. Tom's microphone fell off, but you have these things, but when you're running live, you got to roll with it. So that's just stuff that we do. So, okay, switching gears here.
Well, let's talk about you.
Oh, okay. What do you want to know?
You're growing up. What was influencing your life and parents and education and hobbies and?
Well, for me, growing up, it was cool. Growing up, like I said, in Richfield, it was. If everyone knows, Richfield back in the day, back in the early. Well, I guess it was the 70s. Mm-hmm. I was born in 69. We moved out to Richfield in 72. I was 3. It was just a rural area, farm town and stuff, but it was really nice. Loved it. We did a lot of hiking, exploring with the kids up the street, kickball,
right,
baseball in the back, football. We played football out there in the field. It was kind of cool because we lived in a cul-de-sac with a bunch of kids. We were all the same age for the most part. There were some older kids, but for the most part, we were all about the same age, and it was a lot of fun growing up. I remember camping out, going down to the lake and doing some fishing, some golfing as a youngster and stuff and whatever. But it went well. So I was there from until 9th grade. My parents got divorced, unfortunately, and then I had to move out to New York. I moved out to Findlay Lake, New York. My mom got remarried up, and then I had to go out there for like 10th grade.
Right.
So I spent 10th grade in New York, and then we moved to Harbor Creek the following year. So I had 11th and 12th grade in Pennsylvania, up there at Harbor Creek. So the friends were kind of hard to make because you make some friends and then you leave your friends.
Right.
But you never have the same friend base that you had when you were younger. At least that's how it was for me.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like people got into their little cliques and whatever. There are a couple of people that let me in that I really, even to this day, I'm very thankful for it. But for the most part, didn't have the same type of friends. But then when I went to college, which is kind of getting into our next thing, I went to Behrend, and then I made some pretty good friends there. I still have friends that I had when I went to school here.
Right.
That I still hang out with, still play tennis with during the summer, and we go out to eat and stuff afterwards. So that was pretty good. And I'm still friends with a bunch of those people. So that's nice.
Good. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Same kind of thing. My parents were divorced. I changed schools, and got a new set of friends. But they were very good friends that I still keep in contact with.
Even in high school.
Yeah, in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I don't know if it was. I'm not sure if it was. I don't think it was me. But I'll tell you what. The friends I had in Clymer when I went to school there, you know everybody there because the school's so small.
Small, right?
And I made some really nice friends there across the board. I mean, the graduating class I think had like 30 some kids in it or something like that. But it was kind of cool because I was friends with freshmen, every grade,
Right.
and it was really nice.
Yeah, those were some good times growing up.
It was, but so where did you go to college then?
I went to Iowa State University in Ames, Iowa.
Did you wait? Oh, Iowa State.
Iowa State.
I thought they said
The
Ohio
Cyclones,
State.
perfect name for a meteorologist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now how'd you pick that?
Well, Penn State lost my application, and I had relatives in Iowa, cousins who went there. It was a good science and technology school, so things just fell into place that way.
Okay.
But I did apply at Penn State.
Well,
They lost my application.
Yeah,
They did.
well, that's kind of weird. But now, as far as did you live on campus? Did you live?
No, what I did was one of my cousins who went there stayed at a house. An old lady had a house that was subdivided. She lived in the first floor, and there was 2 apartments upstairs. And my cousin, when he went to school there, had one of the apartments. And so my mom found out through my aunt who this person was, and she had one of her rooms available. It was like 2 blocks off campus, but it was a little efficiency apartment, and I did not want to live in the dorms. Being son of parents, I wanted to do well in school. I did not want to live in a fraternity.
Yeah.
I just wanted my own private space where I could cook my own meals and study, quietly, but be close enough to campus because I did not have a car that I could walk to anything. And so, yes, I found a nice little place. Rent was $100 a month.
$100.
And, it was great. It was awesome. We were really blessed to have that kind of college experience because I was able to, focus on what I needed to focus on.
Did you have a favorite, let's say, professor or anything back then?
I had a variety of professors. I respected them all. I took a lot of history courses too because I love especially American history. And one of the professors was quite entertaining. But other than that, I respected all my teachers, and that's just coming from having parents as teachers and professors. But I just worked my way through. I got a job at a private weather forecasting company, and so I worked part-time with meteorologists, so it worked perfectly for what I wanted to do with my life.
So you worked as you were going to college?
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. I did some of that too. I remember, again, going here to Behrend, that one of my professors, Fred Anzavino. Did you ever meet Fred? He was in a radio.
No, because I didn't come here till, late. And I didn't come to Behrend, as far as getting hooked in here. Now, I've been here. I've been on the staff since 2003. Okay, so many years as an adjunct faculty member. But when I first came here, the first, 15 years of living in this area, Behrend was here, but I played soccer on the fields, but didn't know that much about it.
Okay. There was a guy here, his name was Fred Anzavino, and I started out in mechanical engineering. I don't know if I ever told you that.
I think you did.
Yeah,
That's kind of interesting.
Started out in mechanical engineering, and then I just didn't like it. Kinematics was something that blew me away, and I left it, and I got into communication, and that's where I met Fred. And Fred was a radio guy. His wife, TJ, worked with Rambaldo.
Oh, well, there you go. See, I worked with Rambaldo, too. I did weather forecasting for the Rocket when it started in the fields in Northeast. Yeah, so I remember TJ.
Yeah, because she was married to Fred, and Fred just took me under his wing, and I still talk to Fred to this day. Every morning he sends me a text about something,
awesome.
and we're still in touch. So
good.
That's what I try doing the same thing for my students here, as far as meet them where they're at, and if they need to talk about stuff, talk about classes, talk about life, talk about anything. That's what Fred did for me.
Right.
He'd be in his office working on something. I'd knock on his door. He'd wave me in. Hey, Tommy, how you doing? And come in. You busy, Fred? Oh, no. He was busy, but he took the time.
Right.
So I tried doing that.
Because it was more than education.
Absolutely.
It was life lessons.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I tried teaching in the classroom.
Yeah,
also.
I understand that because people sometimes look at me as, strict or something.
Yeah.
I remember my father telling me as a, professor, he said, people looked at me as hard but fair. And somebody just 2 weeks ago described me as that, because they, how they get their information from rate your professor or, from fellow students. Well, you should take that class. What's this guy like? He's hard, but he's fair. And I thought, that's what they said about my dad. What could be a better compliment? And, part of being hard but fair is, trying to make sure that people are responsible, not just to do your homework, but to show up in class. And then I remember, just saying, well, and, you're kind of old school. And, that was the comment. And to me, I said, absolutely, yes. I'm teaching you life lessons. I come here. This is my job. I show up. I expect you to treat it that way. I want you to show up. If you don't show up for your job, you lose your job. You don't show up here, you're not going to pass the course.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I like that when people say he's hard but he's fair. Mm-hmm. I remember one time there was a rate year professor that said that he makes you do homework and he makes you do this and you have to take tests and stuff. And the person didn't like me, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So of course that's what you do. So as far as getting a hard but fair,
yeah,
I'm
totally comfortable with that.
Yeah,
because I like to have fun. And I think what I teach is very interesting. Everybody can relate to the weather, but we're not just looking at clouds.
Right.
We're learning more.
I've heard good things about you from the students. Sometimes we don't get feedback. We're like, oh, did we do good or did we not do good? I've heard good things about your class. So whatever you're doing, keep it up. It's good stuff.
Yeah, because, our paths cross, personally in our business, because we're both in television broadcasting. We work together on certain occasions. And so we're both teaching people at Behrend, too.
Yeah.
And you do get the feedback. And I get a lot of media people who take my course as a general science requirement. So there's been people that have worked with you, that have taken my class and have gone to the television station that we both work at and honed their journalism. I've had people that have pursued meteorology from my class who have been my interns at JET and have gone on to be broadcast people. And,
that's great.
And I ran into one the other day. It was great because she's a guidance counselor. She's not in meteorology, but she took my class when I very first started. And she was my intern at JET. And she got a meteorology degree. And now she works in the school district, and she invites me there to talk to kids in the school district. So it's very cool how the full circle works with education and, your field.
That's great. I saw, was it yesterday, you were at a Fairview, right?
Yeah.
So now that was kind of a cool experience because were they teaching about the tornadoes back in 1985 and then you were there as basically someone who covered the tornadoes?
No, I was not here in 85, but this year is the 40th anniversary of that very historic and devastating and un-Pennsylvania-like tornadoes. These were Midwest. These were tornado alley tornadoes, big tornadoes, long tracks, devastating. That happened in 1985, and that's 40 years ago. So the television station meteorologists, we did a 40th anniversary look back, and so I have it's online, yourerie.com. You just go to the weather tab and you see that you can watch it. It's a half-hour show, and we found people that survived that and got great stories, great human interest storytelling, and we still had video, still pictures, and cuts from ABC News, in 1985, pictures of then Vice President George Herbert Walker Bush coming to this area to survey damage. It was a lot of history and a lot of, very interesting storytelling.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I was here then. I was living in Findlay Lake, and my wife now told me a story that those tornadoes were going right toward her grandmother's trailer. Right. And she was old and stuff and couldn't move around too much, and she was just there praying. She saw it coming toward her. I got the goosebumps. And then it turned. it turned and it missed her trailer, but that thing could have wiped out.
And that was
her.
a very devastating tornado, because you always hear about the one in Albion, which hit the town of Albion. The one out there started north of Corey and went right into Chautauqua County in New York State, and we covered that. We talked to a lady, and you know how things fall into place, and there are no coincidences kind of way, I believe. I was sitting in Longhorn Restaurant with my wife having dinner, and a lady came up to me. She had two sons, both were in wheelchairs, and she says, "My son is very interested in tornadoes. Would you take a picture?" And this kid was really smart. And I said, "Yeah, that he does know a lot." She goes, "Well, I survived a tornado, and it was the tornado you're talking about with your grandmother." And she said, "I was 8 years old, and it took my house."
Jeez.
And we were just starting to put that show together. So I said, "Would you mind being interviewed?" And she became my main interview for that tornado. And she talked about how it was. You talk about storytelling. She said, "I remember it well. We were watching Wheel of Fortune on TV as a family, and the lights went out. And we looked out the window, and we saw this huge black cloud coming across the field."
It's crazy.
And they piled into the basement. She said it was just like a football team. I was on the bottom, everybody was on top of me, and we heard the nails and the boards separating and glass shattering. And we looked up, and we saw the sky. The whole house was gone. 8 years old. Doesn't get any more real than that. So it's amazing how you run into people and they have weather experiences, and you can tell stories about, well, huge weather events that affected people's lives.
Yeah. Well, let's do that. Let's turn this now to our careers.
Right.
Okay. The stuff that we've done before, in addition to teaching here. Tell us how you got started in television. Tell us where you started. And
I was actually, I was in Iowa. I had graduated. I was working for a private weather forecasting company, and I befriended meteorologist at the local NBC affiliate, and an opening came up, and they hired me. So that's how I started, where I started. I would started back in the 80s, and then went to Erie about 2.5 years later.
okay.
And here. It's ironic how things happen, because when I was a kid in New Jersey, when I was in high school, my mother took a job at a printing press, and a gentleman came in, and he wanted business cards. He was a salesman. And his business cards was National Weather Corporation, which was located in Newark, New Jersey, at Newark Airport, which is now Liberty Airport. And my mom, being the very promoting mom, proud mom that she was, she goes, "My son's interested in becoming a meteorologist." And the salesman said, "I'll take him to work with me." I was in high school. So I became an apprentice, at a private weather forecasting company. So that helped me get a job at a private weather forecasting company in Iowa. And then I kept in contact with this man, and he became a salesman for a weather vending company. It's called Weather Services Incorporated. It was out of Boston area, which sold weather graphic systems to television stations, basically WSI. And so I kept in contact with him, and since he went all over the Northeast, he told me when a TV station had a weather job opening. So he,
great.
like, what would it have been 10 years or more later than when I met him in high school, he says there's this station in Erie, Pennsylvania they're starting a new newscast noon. It was always 6 and 11 back in the day. Well, WSEE started a noon show in 1988, and he said they're looking for a meteorologist. This guy, like a good luck charm, told me where to apply, and I did. And I sent him a tape, and they flew me out here, and we worked it out, and I've been in Erie ever since, just because of the influence that man had in my life by walking into my mom's place of employment.
That, to me, seems like it was meant to be.
Absolutely.
Meant
like
to
I
be.
say, I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything happens for a reason. My mom instituted a lot of faith in me, and I'm very happy for that. And it's, we're not just here by chance. Things happen, for a
Absolutely.
reason.
absolutely. Mine started a little bit differently. My career, I started in radio. I got in radio here at WPSC, and then I got a job at Classy 100.
Right.
And I was up there doing the oldies and stuff like that. And then I was live on the weekends. During the weekdays, I had to run tape. But it was a good time. And then I had to do an internship. That was in college. I had to do an internship, and they wouldn't let me do an internship at WJET-TV because Jet Radio was in competition with Classic 100, right?
Sure.
So I had to cut my ties in radio. I got into TV. I did my internship there in Erie. They hired me afterwards, which was great. And then from there, I stayed there for like a year and a half, and then I went up to Rochester, New York, WROC.
Right.
Channel 8, the CBS affiliate. I worked up there, made some great friends, worked up there for about an hour and a half. How about a year and a half? Worked up there, and then after that, I went down to Pittsburgh, WPXI, Channel 11, the NBC affiliate. Each time it was a step up as far as market size. You know, the smaller the number, the bigger the market, and you basically make more money. My grandfather thought I couldn't hold a job. He's like, Steffi, can't Tommy hold a job? I'm like, Grandpa, it's a step up each time.
You're improving,
Yeah, and then after that, I was there for about a year and a half there, and I got back home, back to Cleveland, WEWS, the ABC affiliate, and I worked there for I think like 11, 12 years. And that was just, I mean, the stuff that I covered as far as news, sports and news is unbelievable. And looking back on it, I think I was kind of privileged to have that job.
Right.
Because the stuff that you get to cover, the people you get to meet, the things you see, that you do, all this stuff, it was fun. It was challenging. I've seen some things that you will never see on TV because it's too gruesome.
Right.
You know, but you know, there's just things that we do. But it was a lot of fun. And the cool thing is now I get to take all that experience and you know, come back here and teach my students and say, hey, I'm not just reading a book and this is what it says in the book.
Right.
I give them real life experiences.
Right.
You know, I'm sure that you do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff, like you said, I was always a big student of history, and to be at places that were big events, you know, in times past is just, you know, that's experience and that's real life.
Do you have, I see we're getting kind of short on time here, but have you ever, what's your favorite story, or have you ever, what's your favorite thing that you've covered as far as maybe weather-wise? And why?
Well, I think, you know, there's a couple things that have happened. One was just last year, was the Black Friday snowstorm. I was at the station for 24 hours. I went in to do my normal Friday shift at 1:30, and I didn't get out till 1:30 Saturday. And, you know, that was old school TV because we made some arrangements to do cut-ins through midnight and then pick them up at 7:30 in the morning because the storm was so bad. So we broke into programming. We also did Facebook Lives like throughout the night using the newer technology to keep people abreast of how bad the storm was, what was going on, not only meteorologically speaking, but, you know, city declaring state of emergency, traffic, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's literally less than a year ago. But it was good old school broadcasting because you were informing people in a very serious situation and you were able to talk more. You weren't just confined to the newscast. And that's what is the best thing. I mean, if you have severe weather, tornadoes or damaging storms, I remember once I was on air a couple of times, like 2 hours, 45 minutes, 3 hours, doing emergency broadcasting during severe weather for, you know, tornadic thunderstorms or damaging thunderstorms. And that's the most rewarding because, you know, you're hopefully saving people's lives.
Yeah, that's good. That was crazy times though too, as far as with that snowstorm. You know, they say they got once in a lifetime type deal, but we know here in Erie,
Yeah.
Sometimes we get.
I mean, 8 years ago, there was the Christmas snowstorm, which was just as bad, maybe a little bit worse, depending on where you were, but it was the same deal. We were buried with feet of snow.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I don't know if there's really one thing that I can touch on as far as what I've done, because I've done a lot of different things as far as that plane crash that happened down towards Pittsburgh.
Oh, in '94, probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually in Harrisburg. We were covering something in Harrisburg that day, and they needed the live truck, the satellite truck, to come back. And the guy who was the operator said, I can't drive it because of rules and regulations that they have to keep a log of when they're driving it. Yeah. So I had to drive that satellite truck back after
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, back to Pittsburgh from Harrisburg, and then we went. Then they sent me out to the airport. I think I was live. We did live cut-ins for
I thought
the
it was
Today
US
Show.
Air. Yeah.
We did live cut-ins for the the Today Show, and that day I was awake and on the clock for over 24 hours that day. Those things happen. Those
they were very exciting, and hopefully, something that's very helpful to people.
Oh, absolutely. But on the fun side is the sports stuff. I get to cover the World Series in '97, and I think it was '95 too, or something.
When the Indians,
with the Indians, yeah. That was a lot of fun, and of course, being able to cover, being honored to cover the Browns games.
Yes, the excitement of that.
Yeah, that's always good times. But being a Browns fan, but meeting people and doing things. I liked doing stories that helped people the most. I like to do. I worked with investigative reporter before.
Oh, that's interesting.
I went undercover as a homeless person. I came into work one time up in Rochester, and they said, "Tom, don't shower and don't shave for 2 days." I'm like, "Are you?" I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, that's gross. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? And they said, "No, you're going undercover as a homeless person." I said, "Oh." Okay, so I, had cameras inside my jacket, running down my sleeves, out my finger, and we had a reporter. He had a microphone on and stuff. We had to go inside the shelters and stuff, and that was cool. There's a lot of different things I got to do, and again, privileged.
Yes.
Some of those drug busts I did up in Cleveland were kind of cool too.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There was one time we did a thing for Safety on Memorial Day. And I rode along with the state troopers.
That
there.
would have been interesting.
Oh, it was cool. We're driving, we're going east on 90, and all of a sudden he says, "Hold on." We go through the median, up the other side, and he flips on his lights and says, "We've got one." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Here it turns out she was a drunk driver. It was kind of weird because she got out of her car one time, and I'm shooting this whole thing. I got the camera on my shoulder. I'm shooting everything. And all of a sudden, she starts coming at me. She goes, "Well, what is he doing?" And the trooper said, "Hey, don't worry about him. He's just doing something about safety." And all of a sudden, she started coming after me.
Right.
So, again, she was drunk, so the officer had to wrestle her to the ground and stuff. I got all this on tape,
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. And then she wasn't too happy.
Right, yeah.
All the way back to the barracks, she was swearing at us in the back seat and stuff like that. But it's kind of cool being able to do, stuff like that. So,
Right. Real life.
yeah. And then, like I said, I was also with the Consumer Reporter and helping out people who are getting ripped off
yeah.
by other people. That's one thing that just gets under my skin, and I really enjoyed helping people.
Right.
And
it's good when you can do that, because there's so many rules and regulations and things that are different nowadays, And so good old-fashioned, it's just like detective work, for the law enforcement. Good old-fashioned journalism that helps people, that tells a story that's valuable,
Yeah.
That's what we need more of.
Exactly. I think we've gotten away from that.
Yeah, we've gotten into a lot of fluff, and we've gotten into a lot of entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's not life.
No.
There's a section of life that's that, but there's real life, that we have to live every day, and the challenges that we face, and we need more. We need to hear about that more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. I agree. Well, I think what we're going to have to do here is probably, there's the music. We're going to have to probably end things here for today. We've talked for quite a while here. The clock says almost 40 minutes.
Wow,
so
time flies.
I'll tell you what.
Good times.
It was good times. So what we'll do is, we'll be back here again. I'm not sure exactly when, but we'll figure something out. And we'll let you know when we're going to be on, so you can always tune in to, what do we call it again?
Tom Squared.
Tom Squared. It's Good times right here on BVZ Radio. We'll talk to you in a few weeks.
Take care.
Take care.